We are a spirit soul. And we also, without reading the scriptures, we have this knowledge. Whenever anybody dies, we distinguish between the two. Where did you go? He left the world today. I'm going there. Why? Are you leaving the world too? No. I'm paying respects to his dead body. He is gone. What went? I don't know about that. Atma, soul, कुछ भी बोलिए, यही हम बोलते हैं, लेकिन हम जानते नहीं हैं. Do we identify ourselves with that? Are we satisfied with that dead body? Why are you crying for your son or whoever? That's the body. No, that's a dead body. My son is no more. Gone. That means that is what we are, right? So we are eternal paths. We are not his body, first. The second important law. Listen very, very carefully. What I'm giving you in a capsule form, you will not find in any book of scripture at one place. Let me share. And what I'm sharing with you is nothing from my own pocket. I have got great, immeasurable divine grace. From a master, you just have a glimpse of. It's just a glimpse. Only to be with him you would know. And you know, for my degree is English literature. I don't have any knowledge of Sanskrit. I never studied. I never had any study of philosophy. That is grace. So I was telling you won't find it in one book. The next law is every part has an attraction for the whole. We are parts of God. We are naturally attracted to him. Just as we call it gravity. We know a force gravity you can identify. If you pick up a lump of earth in your hand and just let it go, where will it go? Down to the earth, because it's a part of the earth. You don't have to put any force to it. Next, rivers from all over the world, where do they go? Into the sea. They are parts of the sea. They go running towards the sea. You light a fire in any part of the world, it may be a small fire or a big fire. Where does the flame go? Upwards. Why? Because it is a part of that big ball of fire, the sun. So I've given you a few examples. The same formula applies to the spirit soul, which is a part of God. We are attracted to him. But you were telling us why we want happiness. That doesn't explain that. You're talking about God. Coming to that. Now, who is this God we are parts of? We just say God, as you just heard from the anchor. He said God forms a part of our conversation, but who is he? Again, let's go to those scriptures. They tell us, because this is spiritual science. People have gone deep into meditation and experienced these truths, and they say, let's go into the Taittiriya Upanishad. Anando brahmeti vijanat anandat dheva khalvimani bhutani jayante anandena jatani jivanti anandam prayant abhisam vishanti. Number 3:6 of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Raso vaisah rasagvam hevayam labdhvanandi bhavati. Again, Taittiriya Upanishad, number 2:7. It says, he, that supreme being, what is his nature? Bliss. You know the word bliss? It's a spiritual term for perfect happiness. So, he is bliss, right? Now we are fitting the puzzle together. And we are parts of bliss. Therefore, we acquire the nature of that whole. The desire for happiness stems from there. That's why nobody taught us. We didn't read anywhere. Because that's your nature. You cannot destroy this nature. You cannot. Even God cannot destroy it. It's inborn. And that's why every living being, I'm telling you, not only human beings, every living being desires only happiness. That's where it comes from. We very mechanically repeat these things. I mean, naturally I'm speaking to people in India, so I'm sure sometime or the other you have been reciting Hanuman Chalisa. What do you say? Sab sukh lahe tumhari sharana tum rakshak. We just mechanically, like parrots, repeat this truth. The Sikh Dharma also says, Sab sukh data Ram hai, dusar nahi na koi, jo sukh ko chahe sada. I'm talking about happiness, and I'm saying you want happiness. Some of you might be thinking, I don't want to know about this. I'm happy anyway. Maybe one or two walked out were thinking that way. Well, if you think you're happy, you're sadly mistaken. Because you're not really happy. You're not perfectly happy. You want to know the definition of happiness? Let's again go into the Vedas. Yovai bhuma tat sukham. Mantra number 723-1. What does it say? I won't tell you what it says, but I'm going to ask you questions and you'll get the definition of happiness. Tell me, do you desire temporary happiness or permanent? You want to be temporarily happy or you want to be happy forever? You have the answer? You want limited, little happiness or you want unlimited happiness? You have the answer? Unlimited. You want happiness that's going to keep increasing or keep decreasing? What we experience is law of diminishing returns. Pehle bahut bada sukh. People get married, buy a new house, buy a new car. You're on the top. Then down, down, down. Diminishing returns. But we want the opposite. So this is the definition which I gave you in the mantra form. So we know it. We want it. But we haven't got it. We say, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm happy. But you don't even know. Your inner being is searching, searching. That's why you can't stop. You're running, running, running. It won't let you stop till you reach that perfect happiness. And that's why people have got so much in this world. But the greed for more, it stems from this inner desire. Maybe wealth, it may be status, maybe anything. So you have the jigsaw puzzle together. As I told you, we've got very little time, but I've fitted it together. And now it requires thinking. It requires thinking. And if you do not want to accept divine science, listen to the psychiatrists. Topmost psychiatrists. They have tried to research and find out the suffering, the reason for suffering. Charles Hume, he said that man is suffering because he's alienated from God. We are removed from the center. Only when we go back to the center will we be free of suffering. He said that. You must have heard of Carl Jung. He said, men have cut themselves from the root of their being, God. A psychiatrist, a top psychiatrist said that. When God goes, the goal goes. When the goal goes, the meaning goes. When the meaning goes, value goes. And when value goes, life becomes dead in our hands. So, this goal of perfect happiness, it has not got to do with anything in this world. That's why we have been kings. Not today, past lives we have been. But we are sailing in the same boat. Italian poet was he? I don't know whether he was an artist. Anyway, his name is Tasso. And he asked King Charles IX, many innumerable kings in England, he said, tell me who's the happiest being? And the king replied, God. And among men, he said, the one who is closest to God. So you can try it. Even if you don't accept this, as I told you, you don't lose anything. So if you don't have a belief, it's more harmful not to have one, to have one. So the answer to this question, do we need God or do I need God? Individually, that's what it is. So then ask yourself a question. Do you want happiness? Yes, I do. Then you need God. Simple as that. You accept it or not accept it, it's up to you. But this is the story which I put to you in a nutshell. It's like saying that I accept my father, but I do not accept my mother's husband.